Okay, well, look at everything popping up here. This goes away. This goes away. All right. Hello. Welcome to a member-only live stream of the Coding Train. Today, boy, this project turned out to be a lot more work than I had imagined. And I actually had meant to get started on this around like early this morning, but my goal, if you are tuning in and watching, hello, thank you for being here, is to get through and all of module 3 of the Data Plus APIs course. And once that is done, then I just have to do the like intro, and then the rest is just post-production and getting it published onto YouTube. And so where I am, if I go to this outline file, is here. So in theory, this is really just the same as the previous project, taking out the adding leaflet, taking out, what am I removing? The P5JS capture stuff, and adding some other APIs, and then kind of an excuse to talk about environment variables and deployment. And I don't know that I'm going to use glitch. That's just kind of like what I put there but I want to talk about deployment, maybe show a couple things. Before I do any of that, I am calling upon you all, if you're interested. Oh, there's not an issue here yet for this. Maybe I can create this real quick. Okay, so I have to find, so what I'm going to do, figure this out. No, desktop. No. There we go. Let's see what happens. That's a good sign. Oh, shoot. Let's get everything set up here. So what I'm going to do is first run So one thing you might have that's happened since I last was working on this is that Mathieu has been working diligently to edit together the videos, and in the videos, when I say something like you could try this exercise, I've actually made an exercise solution, and then Mathieu screen captures that, and it Zeitz. Okay, thank you, Ada. I'm going to have to take a look into that. So I guess we should decide if we're using the YouTube chat or the Slack chat, although I'm actually looking at both of them. So I've been making exercises, and they get shown in the background as like, hey, you can make this exercise, and then it's there, and then I have a solution online. The one thing that I haven't been able to get to is at the very end, I suggest a litany of things you could try. I don't know to what extent I have time to implement all those things, or it makes sense to implement all those things, but I thought I would call upon the Coding Train community to help me with this. So but in order to do this effectively, I also just want to make sure, why is there a node modules? There shouldn't be. There's an extra, because that's just there. Let me get rid of that. And there shouldn't be public here. Great. What I want to do is just record a version of the database with my face in it and this particular lat long, because that way I can use that in any screen captures, in any post-production later. Okay. All right. Wow, this is like ridiculously large. Doesn't need to be that large. Um, oh, I'm zoomed in, that's why. And move this over. Okay. So now the question is, oh good, there's nothing in the list. Perfect. So what I want to do is, oh, okay, actually, let's get all that. I'm recording to disk, but I'm not doing a screen capture. Screen, oh, QuickTime. I'll explain what I'm doing more in a moment. I realized I didn't explain that well at all. New screen recording. Click to record the full screen. I'm recording the full screen. Here's clap for syncing up. And I'm gonna move this laptop out of the way. Although that doesn't actually matter right now. All I wanna do is record into the database some of these images. So if we need to make a fake version of it that's going behind me in the green screen, and I need to suddenly make that, and Mathieu is at his home or I'm at my home and we don't have me in front of a green screen, then this will allow me to do this. All right, so. That hits a bit. There we go. Unicorn. And rainbow, unicorn, train. I can use emojis, right? This is some very important work that I'm doing. Okay, I think that's probably good enough. Okay, good enough. Four things is enough. So now what I need to do here is there's that database. So this file I want to save and make available. The issue is I have database.db in gitignore. So I'm going to call this shiftman.db. And then let's just do it this way. Module 2. I'm going to upload this here. Okay, so this is fine. Adding some saved, adding a saved database from CodeTrain Studio. Okay, so that's there now. I'm the worst. All right. Now what I want to do is Cupcake. Yes. Can't believe I forgot Cupcake. So now let's file that issue. Mathieu, you're not watching right now, are you? Let me see if I can find that video and just play it. How do I do that? Just give me a second here. Oh, are you kidding me? Hold on, where's my... Don't worry, interesting things will come soon. Oh, really? So I don't think it matters if anybody finds this, but in a little peek behind the scenes here, these are all the current versions of the videos. Mathieu uploads them just to his YouTube channel, and I like review them and we comment on them and discuss them. So you can see there's quite a few. I have all these videos to come out on the channel, but this is what I'm looking for. I'm just going to play this right now.
So what's next for you? You can move on to the next project. One of the focuses there.
So I'm going to make a new issue, exercises for video 2.7. Help wanted, people. And I'm going to log these as I say them in the video.
We'll be accessing data from external APIs from Node itself and sending that information to the client. And that opens up a lot of possibilities. But there are some exercises you could try to expand what I built in this project. So one simple thing is the data logs, they just kind of are shown on that page in arbitrary order, whatever order they come back from the database. So how might you sort them? Could you even create buttons to sort them in different ways?
So sorting database logs, sorting database logs on an HTML page. That's one.
Sort them alphabetically by mood, sort them descending by timestamp. That's something that you could try.
Switch between alphabetical by mood or by times or sending or by timestamp. Okay.
Also might want to consider what happens when there's hundreds or thousands or potentially millions of entries in the database. Of course, our simple database system with saving the base64 encoded image into the database might break down at such scale, but even thinking about how you might have to page through all of that data or just show the first 10 entries on one page is something you could think about doing. In terms of thinking about how you're working with the image data, looking at how you would save the image as a file and save the path to that file in the database would also be a nice exercise to try. And then, of course, putting your own creative spin on the layout and thinking about how you're going to design the interaction and the look and feel of this web application itself. You also might want to take a look at the original version of this project by Joey Lee. His version includes quite a bit of CSS that might serve as inspiration for you that you could build on top of. Finally, you might think about doing something more creative with the image. After all, P5 has the full capabilities of HTML Canvas built in that library. So you could have the user draw on the image, save it to the database. Maybe you could incorporate another type of computer vision JavaScript library. There's one called Face API JS that can analyze the expression that the person is making in the image. So there's a lot of possibilities of sort of creative twists you could explore on just having the image from the webcam itself. I hope you enjoyed watching me build this project. Thanks again so much to Joey Lee for the original Data Selfie app, which I used to base all of this material on. And if you're interested, I've got one more project to build as part of this series, also based on material from Joey Lee, and it's called The Weather Here. So stick around in the next video, I'm going to start making it.
Okay. So I have this habit I've discovered of creating all these exercises, and the way that we're producing this course, I want to have the solutions to those exercises, and not only just the solutions to those exercises, but sometimes a screen capture of those solutions to include in the video itself. So I'm creating all this work for myself. So if anybody has nothing to do later today, if you finish watching this, want to help create any of these, I would welcome that. I'm realizing I'm going to have to come back, and I could do this tomorrow, is recapture, if we use if we end up making some of these exercises with like drawing on it, I mean that would be fun, little mustachios, or Face API. That's going to require me to come back again. But anyway, this is what I've got so far. Now I'm going to move on. So next, this is done. That project is completorama. And I'm going to go to here, and let's do this. So what I'm going to do now is figure out what is the starting point, the base code that I want to start with for module 3. Whoops. So this is going to be module 3, and I don't need any of this. And this is now going to be called the weather here. Oh, I used underscores, that's fine. The weather here. And I'm going to keep everything for now, get rid of this database. This should also go away from here. And then I also want to go to the original The Weather Here project, see what it is that I'm actually going to be building. Let's clone this. Oops. Okay, let's take a look at this, see what it is. It's mostly cloudy, feels like 29 degrees Celsius at this latitude. I click check-in, and leaflet opens up. And then do I click this? And I click check-in here. And I do view check-ins. Oh, I see. Oh, and then I can go back and I can check in again. Oh, it would be really interesting if I could move myself around. I could check in again. Again, then I can do view check-ins. Right, I'm viewing all the check-ins, but there's just one because I'm in the same place. This is going to be hard to demonstrate without me moving my laptop around. So that's something I'm definitely going to want to do. But I'm not going to worry about that right now. So, okay, so the pieces that I need, if I look at the server, okay, so getting fetch to be a thing that I can use in the server, that's a thing. I can spoof location in Chrome. Thank you, Alka. Okay, I'm definitely going to want to do that. That is an excellent note. So let me investigate that in a second. So let me erase this. So the truth of the matter is I'm not going to get that much done today, but I'm hopefully going to get my head in the right place that I can really do this tomorrow. Forgot that you could spoof location, so that's good. Okay. So, all right, so the outline so if I go, sorry, so let's go to my the Weather Here app. And I want to fix a few things. So, and where's Joey's? Oh, they're in different. Oh, okay, let me close this. Just right now. And go here. I want both of these open. Why won't it open both of them? There we go. Ah, okay. Amr, thank you. I would remind me about that in a little bit. I actually put an Easter egg in something. I didn't spoof the location. I just hard coded it in a screen capture I was doing for one of the videos yesterday. So what I wanted to see is just okay. Path. Where is? App.listen. Let's see what he's doing. Wait, how is... How come Joey doesn't have app.listen? What's going on that there's no app.listen? Like I have this. See the magic at. Okay. Ah, create server. Oh, interesting. Create server app.listen. Did I do that somewhere else? Huh. Well, I'll just do this. Okay. That's fine. I'm not going to worry about that. Okay, so I need to start with a blank database. API get will send everything. API post will receive stuff. So that I'm going to save. That's fine. Then in the public directory, what am I going to leave? Okay, so I'm going to get rid of this video. We're going to we're going to geolocate. I might as well keep this button. Ah, but I need to, in this, what I want is to get the weather. Okay. And then change this to check in. So this will be check in. View check-ins. Oh, I see. If I just go here, that's like view check-ins, check-in. Okay. Check-in, view check-ins, latitude, longitude, a check-in button. This text field is gone, and I'm going to say now is span. What would this be with temperature? It is weather, standard weather, and feels like temperature at, whoops, latitude comma longitude. So if I go to desktop, module 3, the weather here. Oh, you guys are leaving me all sorts of comments. I'd like to view chickens. The weather here. Great. Check in, view, check-ins, check-in. Okay. Oh, fascinating. That actually worked, weirdly enough. I don't know what I just did. Let's get rid of all of this stuff. I'm just getting my base code ready. What the? Scheduling 20. Chicken. Okay. All right. Open DevTools, press escape to open the lower section thingy, which is the console drawer, the lower section thingy. Okay. And then go to sensors. Aha. Oh, I love this. And I could just move around. Perfect. Oh, thank you. Mwah. This is great. This is going to be great to show. Yes, air quality. This definitely has something to do with air quality. What was the air quality thing? All right, let's see. Let's look at Joey's again. Okay. Location data then retrieves the weather. On the server queries the open air quality database for pollution. You can view your check-ins and also a little story from the contextual data, location and pollution. Oh, it doesn't. Got it. Okay. So the client's going to get the weather. Okay. Okay. Yes, so the steps are, in my outline, is if I'm starting from here, the first thing would be to get the weather and fill it in there. Then I want to add the air pollution. So one video will be just getting the weather and filling it in there, and then saving the weather to the database. What happens if I go here right now? Cannot get chickens. No chickens, everybody. So this is going to rename. No, don't delete. Rename this to check-ins. I can keep it logs. Logs is fine. I'll rename it to check-ins. And then, oh, I forgot that I put alt text in with the accessibility thing. I was like, oh wow, look, the alt, who wrote that? I was like, oh, me. So let me go to the logs here. And this gets rid of mood, it gets rid of image. And no mood. Date is fine. No image. And then geo and date. Okay. Enter, view check-ins. And so this should also, if I'm being check-in. Check-in, view check-ins, check-ins, view check. Oh, and that says data selfie app. So this should say the weather here. And I'm tempted to use Mappa. Uh-oh. Because I like the idea of drawing. But I think that'll overcomplicate it. I'm just going to use leaflet. Oh, do I have a napkin? I just spilled. Hold on, I just spilled a little bit. I'll be right back, okay? Oh, no, wait, I do. Oh, it is air quality and feels like temperature. Got it. Oh, that's air quality. Okay. Mostly cloudy, though, doesn't sound like an air quality thing. But let's use that. Like if I look at Joey's code, like in public, so it is SkyText. Where is SkyText coming from? SkyText feels like. Do this on location. Position. Get the latitude and longitude. Fetch to the weather. Get the JSON. So this in the server then. Just goes to weather. Where does the air quality come in? I'm very confused. The air quality happens when you press check in. So this is not coming from the air quality. The stuff that's on the page is not coming from the air quality. The air quality is getting retrieved just when you check in. It's never being shown to the user except in the logs. I wonder, I think it might make more sense for me to, when the page loads, get the air quality and the weather in one function from the server. And then when you press check-in, it just sends all that back. I think. So I think maybe I'll do it slightly differently. I think. And this one doesn't look like it needs any authentication. So let's go to this. Oh. Latest. Coordinates equals 50. Okay. Let's not spoof for a second. 4073, negative 7399. 4073, comma, negative 7099. And then, and nearest equals, so what did I not get there? Latest coordinates nearest. 12 meters, okay. That's in meters. Let's try this. Did I just put it latitude, longitude? Did I get them backwards? Oh, 73.99. That makes a difference. There we go. Got it. So these are air quality results. So this doesn't need authentication. So why do this on the server? I mean, other than for demonstration purposes. Found two. So what is Joey doing with this when he finds it? New data pollution equals result. So it's just saving the entire thing into the database. Temperature, sky code, sky text, date, observation time, all of that. Feels like, humidity, wind display, blah, 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 blah. So it saves all that. Forecast, wow, there's tons of information. Absurd amount of information. And at some point, we should be getting the pollution. So what does he use in the client side when he gets the pollution? That's this. For let P in my data. Please don't laugh at me. Pollution, location, weather, pollution. And he makes a circle. Pop-up text is sitting here out this sky text day, and it feels like this outside. The concentration of small carcinogenic particles I'm breathing is pollution.results, so just taking the first one. It's just taking the first one, okay. So it's just taking the results as an array, and each element of the array is a specific location of air quality monitoring. And if we do the measurements, the sort of important measurement is measurements index 0.value, which is this. And if I go to the probably the open air quality website, it's going to give me, so I can, this is useful because I can see the data here showing readings is this, and this is 24.9 blah, 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 meters cubed. What does that mean? How do I read this? What is that measurement? What did Joey say it was? This concentration of carcinogenic particles, PM 2.5 is, and then with the units. Oh, perfect. Okay, so that's what I'll do. Yeah. Okay, so this works. And if I were to do this fancy override, refresh, oh no, because I'm on that location, I see. So now I could go here and see what it is here. Okay, excellent. Okay, whoops. Okay, so that's good. Now, why do this on the server? The weather API, is it just to show fetch on the server? Because this, weather.js, is a node package. Let's look at this. So maybe I will do this also just to show how you can use fetch on the server. Okay. Is this exactly? Look, I don't want to use something that's like archived. It works though. It uses weatherservice.msn.com. Maybe I should use I use this directly? Do I want to search for it? Oh, I'm not on the Google website. Okay. This has been retired. That's not a good sign. What's this? 1,000 calls per day for free. Oh, I don't want to do something. This is not crazy to use. Isn't there? Open weather map. Let's see what the chat is talking about. Micrograms per cubic meter, thank you. Doesn't the government have some kind of free weather API? I mean, Open Weather Map's probably a good one for me to use. Free. 60 calls per minute. 5 days forecast, weather maps, UV index, weather alerts. This is fine. Okay. Well, let me sign up for a new one. Does it come instantly? Do I dare show Dashlane if they're not sponsoring me? What I should do is make a. I'm not going to worry about that. No. Education. There we go. Great. Okay. So that's fine. So this I want to do on, I think I'm going to use this instead. I think I'm going to use that instead. So what I'm going to do is, back to the outline. I'm going to get the air quality. I'm going to get the air quality in the client. I'm going to get the weather on the server to hide my API key. I'll just do them both on the server. I'm going to do them both on the server at the same time. And then send them back to the client, which will display them. And then when you hit check-in, it will save it to the database. Great. Okay. So I think I know what I'm doing now. I should probably figure out how to form the API call, but I'll just deal with it later. So the things that the first thing I need to add is this isomorphic fetch and ES6 promise polyfill. Okay. What time is it? Do I dare? Oh, it's only 3 o'clock. All right, I guess I'm going to start recording this today, which is good. I should. I do not need the ES6 promise polyfill. Should I use node fetch? What's isomorphic fetch? Whoops. It says you must bring your own ES6 Promise compatible polyfill. I suggest ES6 Promise. Ah. Got it. Node Fetch is the preferred package. Okay, great. So I'm going to do that. Okay, so I'm going to use Node Fetch. How does everybody feel? This I feel very happy about because it's like open data, open source, open air quality. I would love something less commercial-ish than this I don't want to use, MSN. I don't love Open Weather Map, but I don't have a better idea. What about weather? What's like Gov API? National Weather Service. Oh, I don't have to authenticate with that either. This looks like kind of a nightmare to use. Well, that's where I am. Does it care that I'm going to like call it over and over again? You know what? It's good for me to demonstrate something that you have to authenticate to with an API key. Huh. Well, maybe I'll mention that there's apiweather.gov, but is that going to get me international weather? Right? Will it? Let's say I try to go to all right, I'll use Open Weather Map. I'll just mention that there's the National Weather Service. What was this dark sky one? Do we like this for some reason? Let's try this. I like the design of this website better. Hold on, I'm gonna have to do this on my like. My son just got braces put on, poor little guy. Okay. Okay, hold on. I just need to get that codingtrain.com email confirmation. There we go. Confirm my email. No. Ah, so I have this already. I kind of like how simple this is. Does anybody know anything about this? Should I not be using it? About, like, are these evil people? Their name is Dark Sky. Overview, FAQ. Ah, look at this. They've also disabled, so if CORS is disabled, then I have to do it from the server. Oh, I like that. Look, they take security very seriously. I like this. Data sources. Okay, this is good. I'm going to use this. This seems very... This seems reputable. Dark Skies data is the gold standard of weather data, 9 to 5 Mac. Okay. All right, API of the week. Okay. Okay. Not seeing anything like Dark Sky has stolen everyone's information and created a giant internet monster that's going to swallow the world. All right, I'm using Dark Sky. It is decided. Also, they don't have CORS, so like I can demonstrate that. Perfect. And who knows whether, right? Like, so let's, I don't know why I'm procrastinating against getting started, but let's go to docs. See, this is good too. Forecast request. So, oh, this is so easy and nice. Okay, so I'm going to do this. Permission denied, but that's no problem. I have got my own. Oh, and they have an API console, sample API call. Look at this. Brilliant. The question now is, if I go to, let's close everything out. Yes! Yes, that's the error message I want to see. Yes! Okay, good. So I can't even do this from the client. Awesome. So but let's check about open air quality. All right. So now the question is here. That works from the client. Good to know. So they have cores. Excellent. So now, all right, so here's my question for you, for the like 2.5 people that are watching. Should I, this is a good demonstration of why I would want to do an API call on the server, because cores is not enabled. So I can't just do it from the client. And I also have a secret key. I want to be able to hide that. If I'm doing this already on the server, why not also just check openairquality.org on the server also, right? Or since I can do that from the client, should I always do it from the client if I can do it from the client? That's my question. And there's really no reason to have P5 here. So I think I should get rid of it. Oh, I forgot that this computer keeps going to sleep because I don't have it plugged in. I would do air quality on the server. Great, thank you, Alka. That is exactly the response I was looking for. Okay, so let me try beginning this. And I'm going to get rid of P5. Call this the weather here. Logs, I did that too already. You know what? I'm just going to, I will put in the weather stuff as I get it. And then this has already got the database, and it's got a get and a post. And I think I'm good. And NDB, weather API. This is module 3. Okay. Okay. Starting off with base module 3 code. Okay. Come on. Oh. Yeah. Okay. That I need to. Okay. Oops. Okay. I'm really doing this now. What does this say here? Let me just, at the minimum, one thing I want to fix. One thing I want to fix to when I get started with this. Logs. There we go. Okay. Okay, I'm seriously ready now. So we're going to begin this in green screen land. What is wrong with my lighting? It's just bad today, but it's going to have to do. And oh, I wanted to add the runway sticker. Got to add the runway sticker maybe over here. So the main things I want to demonstrate in this are making an API call from the server where you authenticate. That's an important thing. And also, that's really it, isn't it? 'Cause the only thing new here that I'm doing is making an API call from the server where you authenticate with environment variables. And deployment. Okay. Okay. I too am ready. I mean, waiting for an hour has it been like super boring? Okay. Okay. kind of want this on like a little like popsicle stick, so I can like carry it around, like a little protest sign. One of these days I'll ring the bell and start talking like I'm recording a video tutorial. Hello and welcome to the final project in the Working with Data. I am so low energy and tired. Stupid Game of Thrones. Break the bell. I'm going to break the bell. I am Daniel Schiffman, first of his name, breaker of bells. Hello and welcome to Module 3, Part 3, Project 3. This is the grand finale, the season finale. Hello and welcome to Module... I made a weird thing with my eyes there. What? Some food stuck in my teeth. I have to make it to a Little League game. So I really have to leave at 4:15. It's 3:20. I've got an hour. Okay, I can get this started. Just thinking about this for a second. What did we do in the previous video? Yeah. Hello. It is time for the third module of Working with Data and APIs in JavaScript. This course, this video series that I'm making. Video intro take 1, writes Amr. What's that rainbow latitude and longitude? I'll put it in later. Okay. I just gotta do this. Hello and welcome to Module 3! Hello and welcome to Module 3 of Working with Data and APIs in JavaScript. I don't know, do we need to go any further? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know, what am I saying here? I'm having trouble justifying the reason for this video tutorial. It's very hot in here, tired. I'm gonna drink a little more of this coffee. Just need to get to the coding, then I can kind of move through stuff more quickly. Sorry, Mattia. Poor Mattia. Working with client and server, saving data to a database. Okay. Okay, thank you, Amr. Whoa, it's like this. Hello and welcome to the first video in Module 3 of Working with Data and APIs in JavaScript. So Module 2, I built this project, the Data Selfie app, that covered a variety of things. We introduced server-side programming and saving data to a database and all sorts of client-server-y stuff. That's good, I kind of like that. The next thing I want to say, this is like script writing while poorly improvising it over and over again for no reason, because I could just move on. Hello and welcome to... Oh, I hurt myself. Hello and welcome to Module 3 of Working with Data and APIs. Now, in the previous module, I built this project called the Data Selfie app. I liked what I said before better. I should just move on. Okay, this is it. Here it comes, the final countdown. Yes, Rostal, perhaps you haven't been here on one of these members-only live streams before. The green screen is intentional because what I'm doing with this particular series is doing a lot of I am not doing any of it, but what people who are working on this are doing post-production and adding a lot of the visual stuff behind me. I am screen capturing, but having the green screen, but as soon as up gives us the most flexibility there, but as soon as I get into the coding part, you will see it behind me. I just apparently have a mental block with getting started with these things, but no longer will I have a block. I am now beginning this once and for all. Hello and welcome to Module 3, Part 3 of Working with Data and APIs in JavaScript. So in the second part, the thing that I just wrapped up was a project called the Data Selfie app. And I introduced a lot of concepts there, a lot of techniques. There was server-side programming. There was client-side programming. There was stuff being saved to a database, so many things. But there were some sort of crucial things that I think are important. I'm gonna let Mathieu do his editing magic, and I'll just do a few sentences, pause, and keep going. It's gonna be better. It's just the way it has to be. Hello, and welcome to Module 3. I'm calling it Module 3, Section 3. Yeah, it's Module 3. It's Module 3. Just admit it. Okay. Hello, and welcome to Module 3 of Working with Data and APIs in JavaScript. So I just wrapped up Module 2, the second part, with the project called the Data Selfie app. And there were some new things, hopefully, to you that you learned and are excited to apply in future projects, like server-side programming, and GET requests, and POST requests, and saving data to a database, all of the things. But I think there are some key elements of building a web application that involves data from external APIs and server-side and client-side that I missed. One of the, I think, probably the most crucial things is having to authenticate to an API and make that API request from the server itself. Something about Game of Thrones, for God's sake. One of the most crucial things I think is making an API request to an external data source from the server, and there are a variety of reasons why you might want to do that or need to do that. And I really want to demonstrate that in this new project called The Weather Here. So The Weather Here. The original Weather Here project is, once again, by Joey Lee and was built for a course called Quant Humanists at NYU, where I also teach. I'm going to make my own version of it. In Joey's project, a user arrives to a web page. In Joey's project, a user arrives on this web page, sees their latitude and longitude, sees some information about the weather, clicks a button to check in, and then can do that over and over again and also view the logs, all of the different check-ins on a map with additional information about weather and air quality. Let me try that again. In Joey's project, The Weather Here, in Joey's project, a user arrives on a web page, sees some information about the weather and the air quality, sees their latitude and longitude, and can press a big button called check-in and kind of log a check-in at this location with this weather and air quality. Having checked in once, in Joey's project, the user arrives at a web page, sees a big button called check-in, sees information about their latitude and longitude, the weather, what the weather conditions are. There's actually information about air quality that's being retrieved. The user can press check-in and save the user can press check-in and save the data associated with, okay, one more time here. In Joey's project, a user arrives on a web page. In Joey's project, a user arrives on a web page, sees a big button called check-in, sees information about their latitude, their longitude, the current weather, air quality, can click that check-in button, and then all the information associated with that single page load is saved to the database. Once the user has checked in multiple times, then the user can go look at the view all check-ins page and see them plotted out on a map that with In Joey's project, the user arrives at a web page, sees a big check-in button, information about their latitude, their longitude, weather information, air quality information, can click check-in and save all that information to the database. Once the user checks in a bunch of times, the user could then move over to the view check-ins page. Oh, I was so good there for a second. In Joey's project, the user arrives at a web page. There's a big check-in button. There's information about latitude, longitude, weather information, air quality information. The user could click check-in, and then, assuming you've checked in a bunch of times, you can then view all the check-ins plotted on a map with more information about, with the associated information about that particular check-in. Ah! In Joey's project, the user arrives on a web page. There's information about latitude, longitude. We know how to do that already. There's information about the current weather and air quality. This will be new that we want to add. And then a big check-in button. So you press the check-in button. All that information is logged to a database. And then there's also a view where you can view all the different check-ins plotted on a map with leaflet.js. Perfect. We built almost all of the functionality to do exactly this in the Data Selfie app project. However, the things we need to add are connecting to a weather API to get the current weather for latitude and longitude, connecting to a second API, an air quality API to get the current pollution data for a certain latitude and longitude, figuring out how to protect our API keys and hide those keys. Right. We need to figure out if either of those APIs require private API keys. We need to figure out some way to hide those keys. And then also we want to look at a more custom way of viewing the data logs plotted on a map. Although, to be fair, we did that mostly already. Although we kind of did that already in, what was that project I did? With the map leaflet? It was, oh, the International Space Station. And then we also want to look at a different way. And then we also want to look at, let me just go back. We have most of the functionality built for this in the Data Selfie app project. But the things that we're missing are, number one, how do we connect? We have most of the information for this already. No. We built most of the code and functionality for what I want to do with the Weather Here project in the Data Selfie app. But there are a few key things and most of the functionality that I want to build in this new project, I could just bring over from the Data Selfie app. It's mostly all there. But there are some crucial new components that okay. Most of the functionality that I want to build for the Weather Here app, I have already from the Data Selfie app. You can just bring it right over. But there are some key new features that will be exciting, hopefully, to implement while you'll learn some new stuff. So number one, I want to look at connecting to external APIs. We're going to use two different APIs. If there are various... Okay. Yes, okay, fine. Just one more time, just give me one more time. Most of the functionality that I need for this Weather Here app, we already have from the Data Selfie app, but we can start with this sort of baseline of code from there. But there are some new things that I want to demonstrate to you in this project. So number one is I want to add connecting to external APIs. So we're going to use two different APIs, one for weather information, one for air quality. One of those APIs is going to require an API key and not actually even allow us to connect from the client side. So we're going to have to look at, well, how do I connect to an API from Node, but then have the client be able to display that information? So that's going to be a key new thing. Now, I also want to figure out how do I hide the API keys. So if I want to open source and publish my code, but I don't want to include my API keys, how do I do that? So that's going to be an important piece of this as well. We're also going to want to, this project is also a nice excuse to make our logs page a little fancier since we're doing check-ins here at a latitude and longitude. We can plot those check-ins on a map and look a bit more at some of the features of the leaflet.js library as well. Most of the, this project also allows us to kind of play with our logs page, and let's look at, instead of just a list of all the information from the database, how do we pull a bunch of records from the database and plot them on a map? And mostly we can pull from the previous example I made with the International Space Station to create a map with leaflet.js. And then finally, before this all wraps up, everything I'm doing in these projects is just here on this laptop. I don't know where I'm looking around. It's all running here. But if I really wanted to put this project on the web, how? And finally, before this series wraps up, I really think it's important to talk about deploying a project into the real world, so to speak. So right now I'm tinkering, I'm playing around and developing, the server's running here, the client's running here. This is just all contained within my laptop. But if I want to deploy this project to a server so that it can live on the web, that many people could access it, share the data, participate in and view the website essentially, how do I do that? So I want to look at a few different options for deploying your project onto the web. Hopefully I'll give you some pointers to some options where you can do that for free, as well as if you have a larger project, what the sort of considerations are for hosting services and paying for hosting. Okay. That's that. And then I also going to want to talk about like user logins, but that's sort of beyond the scope. So I'll bring that back up at the end. Okay. So I think I'm ready to move to here. So let's start with dark sky. So Mathieu, before I go to dark sky, we can show open weather map and the National Weather Service API. Like this, yeah. So actually, all right. How are we doing on time? 3:40, excellent. I think I do want to, let's go to the client side first. Let me add some comments here. how's this code size? Looks a little bit big, to be honest. And actually, I think I like to have this further in, but then I do this. And then I just do this if I want to switch files. Same thing here, but this is fine. Let's just move this in a little bit. Move this in a little bit. So weird. Why does it sometimes take a million years to geolocate? Stop streaming, stop recording. I'm recording, I'm streaming. Okay, so, all right, so actually, I'm going to keep this here. Then when I switch to talking about the APIs, I will go to green screen. Maybe I'll just stay here. I'm just going to stay here, and Mathieu, at the beginning, we're just sort of going to assume that this is what's there, except for that fact that I can't see it, which is always weird. That's why is it not geolocating? Come on. Should I just spoof the location? What's the location that I'm always using? Is that going to give me latitude, longitude? $40.73, 73, negative 73.99. Oh, you can't see this. I was just spoofing the location, so now it shows up at least. Okay. Yeah, I love that. Degree, comma, degree. Okay. So this is the base functionality that I'm starting with. It's everything from the data selfie app, but a ton stripped away. So there's no more P5 library, there's no more images. All it is the web page. When you load it, it logs it. Okay. So this is what I'm starting with. It's essentially the data selfie app with all of the advanced functionality stripped away. So there's no P5, there's no images. All that's happening here is when the page loads, you geolocate, you see your latitude, longitude, you can hit check-in, and then that's going to get saved to the database, and I can go to view check-ins, and I see a log of all the different times and my latitude and longitude at those times, which are all the same. So what I want to add to this, so the first thing I want to add to this is I want to see the weather. So the first thing I want to add to this is I want to see the weather. What is the current temperature? What is the forecast? So the first thing I want to add to this is the weather. When I load the page, I want to see the latitude and longitude, but also what's the current temperature. So to do that, I need some sort of weather API. Without building my own. This is driving me crazy. I'm going to do it from this view because it's with. Then I'll just switch. Because I paused anyway. It makes me crazy not to be able to see it when I go like this. So I'm just going to do it this way. So this is the code that I'm starting with. All right. So this is where I'm going to begin. I've got just sort of the very basic functionality from the Data Selfie app. I've stripped away P5, the webcam, images, a lot of stuff. The page just loads and shows my latitude and longitude. When I click check-in, it's saving that current latitude and longitude and the timestamp to the database. And when I go to view check-ins, I see a log of all of my recent check-ins at this latitude and longitude and time. So the very first thing that I want to do in this series now is add weather. I want to be able to display on this page information about the current temperature outside at this latitude and longitude. So without building my own weather station and somehow like hooking up a bunch of sensors, I just want to query some sort of weather API to give me the information. Zeliko Marikovic. Hello, will this video be available to watch yesterday? Yeah, if you're just kind of joining by accident, I am doing a recording session, and these videos are all getting edited together to get published to the actual Coding Train channel by the end of this month. So you can enjoy my weird, like talking in front of a green screen and starting and stopping a million times if you find that interesting. If you want to just sort of hang out in the background and help answer questions when I get stuck. But the idea for this is this will come out as a edited and produced series that you could just sort of watch, in one sitting to follow the tutorial stuff. Hopefully that helps. Okay. Also, yes, if you want to watch this like messy live stream, this will also be available. Okay. So to do this, I need to get the weather from somewhere. And without building my own weather station, I could probably find an external API to request that weather data from. Just like I found that API in an earlier video to give me the latitude and longitude of the International Space Station. So to do this, I need to get the weather information from somewhere. I need to find a place. Now I need to figure out where am I going to get the weather information. I'm probably not the kind of person who's going to build my own weather station with sensors and hook it up to the roof of some building or out in a field somewhere or something. I need to find perhaps an API that has weather information that I can request it. And there are many of these. So for example, there's something called Open Weather Map, which is an API service. The National Weather Service. There's, what is this? Can I say something about this? There's Open Weather Map, which is an API service that you can get weather information from. The National Weather Service itself, various governmental organizations. The National... Okay, I got it. There's Open Weather Map, which is a weather API service that I've used in previous examples on this channel. The National Weather Service, which is a US governmental organization, and maybe other countries or other public institutions have public APIs with weather information that you can use. NASA, I believe, does as well, as we saw. NASA has historical weather and temperature information that we saw in a previous video. Yes, Zeiko, I can see Zeliko. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name. You've got the asterisk icon, which is rarely seen. It's definitely been around for a while. I forget the order of these. All right. Now what I need to do is figure out where am I going to get the weather information from. So now I need to figure out where I'm going to get the weather information from. So without building my own... Oh, sorry, darn. Now I have to figure out where am I going to get the weather information from. So without building my own... I really have to I have to wear the same shirt tomorrow. I at least have to get through this first video before I leave. Now I have to figure out where am I going to get the weather information from. So I don't really feel so inclined to build my own set of sensors and my own weather station. So most likely I can find some type of API service that I can make a request to and get the data back, maybe even in JSON format. This is very similar to what we did when we looked at the International Space Station latitude and longitude from an external API. And there are many weather APIs. Google it, Google Weather API, JSON data, you'll probably find a ton. One that I've used in previous video tutorials is Open Weather Map. That's one that you could look into using. The National Weather Service, probably there are other governmental organizations or public institutions that have public weather data that you could use that have APIs that you request data from. I'm somewhat arbitrarily picking an API called Dark Sky. Dark Sky has pretty easy to read Dark Sky allows you to make, Dark Sky is pretty easy to use. Dark Sky is pretty easy to use. It allows, Dark Sky is pretty easy to use. It has decent, sorry. Dark Sky is easy to use. Dark Sky is fairly easy to use. It has, what I look for when I'm looking for an API is one that has good documentation. And looking at the Dark Sky website pretty quickly, it has really good documentation and it's really easy to use and set up. The other thing that's important about it is while it's not a free service, the other thing that's, okay, hold on, let me go back. One of the things I look for when I'm trying to pick an API is, does it have good documentation? And a quick scan over the Dark Sky API website shows that it does have good documentation. It also has a pretty generous free plan, meaning you can make, I forgot what it is, 1,000 API calls for free each day. That's not that much. One of the things I look for when trying to pick an API is, does it have good documentation? Are the examples easy to follow? Can I get up and running with it fairly quickly? And looking at Dark Sky, I find that to be true. The documentation is pretty easy to follow, and I can get up and running with it quickly, and it offers the data in JSON format. It also, while it's not entirely a free service, it lets you do 1,000 API calls per day free, and that's for demonstration purposes. That's pretty much all I need. The other reason I'm picking it, really, if I'm being perfectly honest, is it's going to require us to do the API calls from the server itself. And not all APIs require that, but it's something really important that I want to demonstrate to you. And so finding an API that's going to make that required, I think, is a useful way. Okay. The other reason why I want to look at it is well, I'll just come back to that later. I'll come back to that later. Just never mind about that. A risk here, of course, is that by the time you're watching this video, the Dark Sky API won't exist anymore, or the way that it works will have completely changed, but that's just a fact of life. So really what you should be taking away from this video is less the specifics of the Dark Sky API, but what you need to do when you find an API, how to get your API key, how to make the request, how to get the data, and then present the data. And hopefully, maybe follow this video along, but use a completely different weather API while you're following. Okay, great. Log out. Okay, I'm gonna go back here. Okay. All right, moving along. How am I doing time-wise? Oh, not so great, 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 not so great. I'm getting a lot of tweets, though. All right. So unlike the International Space Station API that we looked at earlier, Dark Sky API is an API that requires you to authenticate. And So unlike the International Space Station API that we looked at in a previous video, the Dark Sky API requires you to authenticate. It's pretty simple to authenticate. All you need is a single API key. Other APIs can have a much more involved process. But if you're going to follow along and use this, you're going to need to first go to darksky.net and click sign up. You're going to want to register with your email address and make up a password. Now, I've already done that, so I'm just going to go straight to logging in, and I'm going to log in as. So hold on. I'm going to go straight. So Mattia, let's cut out the part where I actually like type in my name and password. Now I've already done that, so I'm going to go straight to logging in. So I'm going to click here. And then, I mean, I don't care if people have this email address, but right. And once you're logged in, you will arrive exactly to this page. Once you're logged in, you'll arrive exactly to this page. And you can see this is really important. This is my API key. Now, there's a little bit of irony here that I'm in this public video on YouTube showing you my API key right here. I will, by the time you're watching this, I'm going to have regenerated my API key, and this one won't be valid. So don't try typing this one in. You're going to need to get your own. But while I'm making this video, this is the one that I'm going to use. The other thing that I love about this is already, right? I need to read the documentation, but even without reading the documentation, right here I can see a URL for making an API call. So if I want to get the forecast, all I need is api.darksky.net/forecast. That's the endpoint. We've learned about endpoints now. My API key, and then /latitude, longitude. So I can actually just click on this, open it in a new tab, and we can see, look, this is weather that's the latitude and longitude for Los Angeles. I'm getting a summary. I'm getting nearest storm distance, all sorts of information. I can use any of this in my application. So let's say what I want to do, let's assume what I want to do is now request this API endpoint in my client-side JavaScript. That's a thing that we've done before. We did that with the International Space Station. So I'm going to grab this URL. I'm going to go to my code. I'm just going to, right here is where I get latitude and longitude. So what I could do next is I could say, okay, I'm going to have API URL equal. And actually, this is not an async function. This whole thing should be an async function. I'm going to just hold on. Just so I don't have to. I can take this URL, I can go straight into my code, and right here is where I get the latitude and longitude. So now what I can do is I can I can save the URL to the API in a variable. And instead of hard coding in Los Angeles, I can put in latitude, and I can put in longitude, and then this should be a string literal, right? So now I've got latitude, longitude. Then I could just say response equals await fetch API URL. This is all stuff we've done before. Const JSON equals await response.json. And then I just want to console log that JSON. And we should see now the weather information console logged into the client after I just burped. Simon is suggesting I blur the API key. I absolutely could do that, but it's going to show up in many different places, and I'd much rather not have to bother doing that. I think it's also sort of nice to see kind of what they look like. So I'm gonna keep it, but that's a good suggestion that I could do in the future if I really wanted to keep an API key. But I don't care about this API key for Dark Sky, whatever. I can also just regenerate it. Okay. Just go back to here. Then I can console log the JSON. And now, when I load this page, I should see the weather information for my latitude and longitude logged in the console. Let's give that a try. Refresh. Ah! What did I mess up there? Oh, I forgot that this needs to be async. Oh, let me go back and do this again. Oh, I see. I don't need this to be async. I have to make that function async. Let me go back this again. All right. So now I can take this API. So now I can take this API URL endpoint. I can copy it and I can go to my code. So right here, once I've geolocated, then I can say I can make an API URL, which is equal to exactly that. But instead of, I'm going to make this a string literal, because instead of hard coding in the latitude and longitude, I might as well say latitude, comma, longitude. And then now I can say, this is all stuff we've done before, I can fetch, make a GET request to that API URL. So I can say the response equals await fetch API URL. Now, since I'm using the keyword await, I need to add the async keyword up here to this callback function. Then I can say JSON equals await response.json. And then I can console log the data. So in theory now, the feature that I've added here, in addition to geolocating the client, I'm going to take that geolocation, send it to the darksky.net API, and get the weather information back. And let's try giving that a run. Going here to here, hitting refresh. Ah! I'm the only person in the entire world that's really excited to see the dreaded CORS error. This, if you continue to do web programming, might become the bane of your existence. No access control allow origin header is present on the requested service resource. In fact, if I had bothered to read, actually, you know what? I should green screen this. Where's the CORS? Yeah. So Mathieu, let's green screen in CORS. And this is what I'm going to do. We're going to green screen in this. And then also on the FAQ page, scrolling down to why do I get this error? Yeah. So let me put this in. CORS, or cross-origin resource sharing, is a mechanism. I shouldn't read this. CORS, which stands for cross-origin resource sharing, is a really important feature of servers. It can be on or off. If it's on, it allows one server to make a request to see another server's data. And you would think, well, shouldn't an API have CORS on by definition? The whole point of an API is to let you share your resources. But this is a distinction. But some APIs and some services don't have CORS enabled because they want you to really protect the way. But some APIs don't. But some APIs don't have CORS enabled because they really want to protect secure. But some APIs don't have CORS enabled out of an abundance of caution in terms of security and privacy. So in fact, if you go to the Dark Sky FAQ and you scroll down, you'll find the question, why do I get the error, no access control origin header is present on the requested resource? And this is because the API call includes the API key, and okay. All right, actually, let me start this discussion over because I think now I understand what I want to say better. Oh, I'm going to run out of time. I definitely have to wear this shirt tomorrow. Shoot. Let's see if I can finish this off. Okay. Oh. Yeah, there's a bunch of other things Shoot, I'm not going to get this done today. I guess it could be okay if I wear it. I'm going to leave this shirt here. No, I'll just bring it with me tomorrow. It's fine. Same this undershirt too, I guess. Okay. Oh, I hate stopping in the middle of something. All right. CORS stands for cross-origin resource sharing, and it's the way that, so if it can be enabled or disabled. If it's enabled, it's saying like, hey, I want you as a separate server from a different origin to be able to share my resources. Now, the thing that's sort of crucial here, it's not, if CORS is disabled, it's not that the API is saying you can't have access to my data, it's just requiring that you do it from your own server. And this is something that's explained in the Dark Sky, API's FAQ. If you scroll down, you'll find the question, why do I get the error, no access control allow origin? And it's because they explain that it's for security reasons. Because the API key is part of that request, they want you to enforce that you can't make that request from client-side code. You can only do it from server-side code. So this is a nice demonstration of how we're going to make that request from Node itself. Okay. Okay. So in fact, what I want to do is take this code itself and put it in the server. So I'm going to index.js. Whoops. So in fact, what I want to do is take this code itself and put it in the server. So go to index.js, and I'm just going to paste it in the bottom. But where do I want to call this? I want to make a new endpoint in my server that receives the latitude and longitude, then makes a call out to darksky.net, and then returns that back so that I could actually have this still in my client. I don't want to actually remove this. What I want is to change this URL maybe to just a local path, weather / latitude, longitude, weather being the endpoint that I'm going to create, and then console log it here. So in fact, now if I go in the server, I'm going to say app.get. I can actually I'm just going to grab this, which is exactly what I want. I'm going to create a new endpoint weather. And then I'm going to say, sorry, hold on. I messed that up. So I'm going to go into the server. I'm going to make a new endpoint at a new endpoint for a GET request. I'll call that weather. This is now a function that gets closed off like this. And now, okay, I'm getting some errors here. What's the issue? All right, so this is, okay, well, a couple things. One is the argument is to the function is called response, so I really shouldn't call that response here. So I'm just going to call this fetch response and then say fetch response.json. But there's a missing piece here, actually. Number one is this needs to be an async function because I'm using await. And then instead of console logging, I want to say finish this? I'm trying to wrap this up. I shouldn't rush though. Instead of console logging, I want to say response.json that JSON. So I'm going to make the API call from within here and then send it back. This is what's known as a proxy server. It's basically the server is a proxy for darksky.net. I can't make the call to darksky.net directly in the client, so I just send off the latitude and longitude, receive it here, and make that request. But wait a second. How do I have these variables, latitude, longitude? Oh boy. Well, this is opening up a can of worms about how what do you call those? REST API. They're not like URL. What do you call those things that are like, they're like parameters? Oh, yeah. So this is really opening up a can of worms about how do you pass parameters, right? I am somehow from here, I am passing these parameters to the weather endpoint in the form of latitude, comma, longitude. How do I receive those parameters? Whoops. Ugh. So this is really opening up a can of worms about passing parameters with an API, right? I'm here in, this is opening up a can of worms about passing parameters with an API. Here I am in the client-side code. I want to send to my new weather endpoint the latitude and longitude that I've gotten from the client-side code. Then somehow in the server, I need to I need to receive those and put them in here when I send the dark sky. Now, I need to show you how this is going to work. But for right now, let's just make sure this is actually working. Let's just hard code in the latitude and longitude. So I'm going to go back to this particular latitude and longitude that I know will work. I'm going to go to my server. I'm going to comment this out. And I'm going to paste in a hard-coded latitude and longitude. So now when I go to that endpoint, I don't need to pass in a latitude and longitude. I am just going to get exactly the weather for Los Angeles. I'm also in the client here, going to just make a simplified version without passing in this as a parameter and just say, and I think I probably should include a slash here, right? Whatever. Am I doing that when I do like post? Yes. I'm also going to do the same thing in the client. I'm going to just temporarily comment this out and then get rid of the latitude and longitude. And I think for the paths to be correct, I should have included a slash here. Okay, so let's restart the server. Let's go to the client and hit refresh. Wait is only valid in an async function, sketch.js. I forgot to put my async function in here, okay? Mm. Uh-oh. Oh, right. Yeah, just, Oh, right. So look what it says up here. Wait, hold on. Ah, right. Let's check the server. Aha, of course. So up here, it's going to give me a nice error that says fetch is not defined. Fetch is not defined. I forgot about that. Fetch, the web fetch API, is part of the client-side browser API. If I want to use it from within Node, I can, but I need to install a Node package for that. So I'm going to do that by, okay. A package that I can use, the package I can use to do that is called node-fetch. So I'm going to go over back here and say npm install node-fetch. If I go to my package.json, I can just see that that's in there now. And then most likely what I need to also do is say const fetch equals require node fetch. So that's going to pull the fetch function from node fetch. So I can add that up here at the top. Fetch equals require node fetch. Rerun the server. Give it one more refresh here. And there we go, look at that. I now have the weather from Los Angeles right over there. Oh, one more step. Trying to decide if I want to do a separate video. I don't think that I do, but I'm really running out of time. I really have to go. Shoot. Query string parameters would probably be more useful. Oh, interesting. Instead of doing the, like, I thought the more standard thing was the /route. All right. I mean, I have covered this before, and I did it with query strings. I think I just have to admit that I didn't hit what I wanted to hit today. So let me wrap this up for right now. Or I'm just going to wear the same clothes. I'm going to leave this exactly as is and just come back and finish this tomorrow. What, those aren't called parameters? What are they called when you use the, like, route? I like how this comes up. I guess I could use the query string. I was going to use the, I think I better just stop. Shoot. All right, everyone, I'm going to go. I can't be late for Little League. Oh, that went off. So I'm going to pick this up tomorrow morning. Hopefully I can build the whole project, tomorrow. Look for your suggestions about deployment. Oh, I wasn't going to do colon lat comma colon long. I was going to do colon lat long, like one variable, colon lat long, and then just pull it and use the split with the comma. That's what I was going to do. Just use split. Request parameters, yeah, request query. I think I'm going to do the parameters. Those are parameters, good. But I just have to do it tomorrow. Blared everybody's, I don't know why, I just like took the batteries out for no reason as like the thing that I'm doing. Okay, I'm gonna hit stop recording. I don't think there's any reason for me to upload this right now because Mathieu has enough to do. And I'll just save it here. And then I'm going to do Control C, quit. Let's do, let's just push this to GitHub just in case. State of code after working on it. After in the middle of module 3 video 1. Let's stop this. Let's save this as screen capture. What is today's date? 5/20/19. I'm saving that. All right, everybody, I am going to shut this down. I am rushing now out of here. And so I'm hoping to be back here doing this tomorrow, like 9 or 10 a.m., like first thing in the morning Eastern time. So I'll see you then. Sorry to be rushing off. I've got a Little League game to go to. And I can't be late for that. It's like, okay. End stream. So I'm clicking end stream, and I'll see you all tomorrow morning or in the Slack channel if you have thoughts or ideas. Anybody who wants to help me with those exercises for the 2.7 video, I would be thrilled, but don't feel any obligation, of course. Okay, goodbye.